Hello and welcome to the Soulful Shift podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about why reclaiming your power is the number one strategy, absolutely hands down. I would choose right now, if I could go back in time, to create success not only in your career, move to the next level, whether it's financially, promotion, be a better leader, but throughout your whole life. When you reclaim your power, your entire reality changes. There's just more joy, there's more fulfillment, and there's more freedom. So in this short episode today, I'm going to explain what it actually means to reclaim your power. What does that look like? And really why you may have not done it to this point, which is why most people haven't done it to this point, and why there's a program that's running in the background that might be stopping you. So I want to help release you and liberate you from this happening in your life. And this is in conjunction with, Hello and welcome to the Soulful Shift podcast. In this episode, I'm going to talk about why reclaiming your power is the number one strategy I would absolutely use right now if you are wanting to get to the next level of your career, whether it's financially, promotion-wise, next level of leadership, whether it's fulfillment, whatever it looks like. Reclaiming your power actually covers so many areas of our lives, and it absolutely is the number one strategy I would choose hands down. I'm also going to talk about why you may not be reclaiming your power, very, very, very common reason. And also I'm going to have a resource for you at the end of this if this is something you want to move more towards. Okay. What is reclaiming your power? Essentially, if I could mince it down to the very, very briefest of things, is you stop abandoning yourself. You stop sacrificing yourself. And let's face it, the world taught all of us that if you sacrifice long enough, it will be worth it. But it's actually simply not true. It is not true. And I'm going to explain how this all came about. So if you look at the corporate system, you will recognize, and you've likely heard before the expression that the corporate system of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, was actually created when there was factories. That was a schedule that was used for factories. So we have a lot of rules and the way things work in the corporate system that actually aren't valid anymore. Like the reason that existed when they were first introduced are no longer valid, okay? You likely heard that before. So there are some other rules within the corporate system that are no longer valid that you might still think are. So if you look back to, say, 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, but really 20 and beyond years ago, there were a lot of unions. Okay, there was a lot of unions in corporate system. There was factories in corporate system, and they were brought in obviously for fair treatment of employees, right? Makes sense. There was a time those were needed. Now, if you think about what is a union, well, a union has a system within itself. And what it says is if you have these certain qualifications, you qualify for a certain job. And then once you're in that job, as long as you show up and do the work, you will get raises. Usually it's at time increments, like you work for 12 months for a company, you automatically get a raise. You work for 3 years, you automatically get a raise. There was all these automations that just happened because you belong to a union, okay? Other things that happened is you could clearly see how to get promoted. There was a really clear path on how to get promoted. So there was a system built up and it was clearly outlining how things worked. Now, to actually exist within that system, there were certain things you had to do. So you couldn't express yourself maybe the way you'd always want to. There was certain sacrifices you had to make. You maybe didn't have as much joy in your job. Maybe you found it really boring, really mundane. It wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't rewarding. There could have been all these things going on. But here's the important part. When the unions were brought in, it's like there was a trade-off. You sacrifice these certain things, you self-abandon in many ways, but however, the union provided stability. So the company would give you a job and you could stay in that company 20, 30, 40 years, however long your career was. We know this is true. We saw all these people in companies, they would join a company and stay forever because the company was also very stable. They were stable. And so you knew the rules. Sacrifice a bit, self-abandon a bit, but it's all worth it. You could be stable for your own life. You could be stable for your family. You likely got a pension. There were all this things that happened. So it was very much a reciprocal arrangement. There was a trade-off. You knew what you had to give, and you knew what you could receive as part of that. Now, there still exists some unions in the world, but they're nowhere near as prevalent as they used to be, right? We can see that. And over the years, since they've been moving away from unions and new companies have come in that are not bringing in unions, what's happened is most people in this world are still operating on this reciprocity arrangement. It's like we see there's this invisible agreement. If I sacrifice enough, if I abandon myself long enough, I will be stable. I will be successful. That is a construct of the union system. That is not a construct energetically. That was created false. It was a creation. But that's not how energy works. And that's also not how the world works. And what most people are doing, and you might see yourself in this, I know I did this for many years, is if you're not getting the results you want, if you're not getting ahead, if you're not feeling stable, what do? We sacrifice more and we self-abandon more because we're hoping this is the way it works. We're hoping that one day it will be worth it. Those times are over because that whole system that created that has been gone for a couple decades at least. I mean, I remember that's how my mom worked in a union. So yes, there was a sacrifice that I saw her sacrificing, but there was a gain at the end. There was something that she was working towards. But this system doesn't exist anymore. The self-abandonment doesn't work. We now have to advocate for ourselves. We have to speak up for ourselves because you don't get automatic raises. You don't get automatic promotions. You don't get anything automatically. You just don't get a pension. None of these things exist. That two-way agreement doesn't exist. So the only solution now, you can continue on that road of self-abandoning, right? Sacrificing and hoping it works one day. That is your choice, right? I'm not here to tell you what to do. But if you're tired of that, you're tired of that hamster wheel that doesn't end, like that won't end, the way you rectify it is you reclaim your power, which means you stop abandoning yourself, which means you choose you, okay? And hear that. It's actually very deep. You choose yourself. We've been programmed in this world to be, if we don't have the results that we want, oh, what do I got to do? What do I have to do? What do I have to do? What about you? Where about you in all of this? When you reclaim your power, you come back into the equation, which is where you should be anyways. Anybody who's created massive success in their life did not do it through self-abandonment. Now, I'm not saying hard work is not involved, but there is a fine line, and most people have lost complete track of the difference between working hard and abandoning yourself and sacrificing and giving up your well-being, and you know what I'm talking about. We've gone so far off the rails. Hard work doesn't mean pushing yourself into exhaustion. By Friday afternoon, you shouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't, I'm done. Like right now, I'm filming this. It's 3:22 p.m. on a Friday. I'm good. I'm not like ready to fall over from exhaustion. That's how we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be like crawling into the weekend. And we do that only when we self-abandon and when we sacrifice more than we're actually receiving in return. So what I have done is I have created a masterclass for my March masterclass in my leadership series, The Unshakable Leader. So I'm going to put the link down below. In this masterclass, I'm going to talk more about what reclaiming your power is and what it looks like. And then I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it, because we weren't taught this. We were taught the other way. We were taught to self-abandon. We were taught to sacrifice. So in this training, I'm going to talk about how you actually do that step by step, and doing it in a way that does it slowly. Because when you stop self-abandoning, essentially it's like your whole operating system changes. And so we don't want to do this too quickly, right? I know the world loves fast results. and results will come. But if you're changing the whole foundation of how you operate, you want to do this slowly and do it properly. And also what I'm going to share in this training is the pitfalls that I see people do and experience when they go through this, because they're not expecting certain things to happen. And then when they happen, they're like, oh my gosh, I must be doing something wrong. I mean, I did this too. A lot of my clients have done it too. This is a lot of what I walk my clients through, because it is a process, like I said. But in this training, I am going to share exactly how to do it. So I'm going to put the link down below. And just in case you haven't checked out my website yet on the Unshakable Leaders series, you can buy each individual masterclass, right? Each month of 2026, there is a new masterclass. They all link together though, okay? Like you can buy just one independently, and it's a lesson all in of itself, but I'm building it so they all link together. I talk about energy in all of them. I talk about all these things, and you'll see how these concepts all start to fit together. And if you want to buy the entire series, what you can do is you can buy the entire series, and instead of paying for all 12, you only pay for 10. And if you buy the entire year annual access, you also get 1 day a month where you get to ask me questions about the trainings, and I will answer you one-on-one. So I'm going to put the link for that down below as well. So hope this was super helpful. March is the month. It's important. If there was one thing, like I said, there was one thing I could say to you that would change your life for the better, 2026, it would be to reclaim your power. All right, beautiful soul. Talk to you soon.